And I want them to sense that just genuineness that you have, that kindness that you exude. And even as you create these massive events, and being a Virginia House delegate feels like so like put together. Like I feel like I should have a suit on today. And simultaneous, like you're just fun and lighthearted. And I want people to feel both of those things. And so can we start with your backstory and then bring them into kind of where you are now and how we can be advocates for what you're doing?
Sure. Well, part of that is really easy because I keep saying I'm not a politician. I am a public servant, and
Let's go.
True. It couldn't be more true for me. My husband and I have been married. Next year it'll be 40 years.
Oh my gracious! Congrats!
I know, it's amazing. God is really amazing.
Insane.
But we raised our 4 children right here in Virginia Beach. I'm from Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. He was in the Navy, went to the Naval Academy, was stationed down in Florida, and I met him and married him within 7 months, moved me to Virginia Beach.
Wow.
And except for 3 years that we moved to Charlottesville for him to go to law school, we've always been here. This has been our home.
Wow.
And it's been amazing, just raising our children here. It's a great place we always say Virginia is a great place to live, work, and raise a family, and that was really true for us. And so I've always worked. I've always been really active in the community. All 4 of our children were athletes, so my whole world was running to soccer games, lacrosse games. Yes. You know, every season was a different sport. So and then our children went off to college and started getting married. And my husband and I, we joke, we were, it was around COVID, and we were looking for the next, Netflix series to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Where out of the blue comes this invitation to run for office. And I was really never thought about it, never aspired to do this. I've always, been politically aware, and my husband and I would host events for candidates and so forth. We supported people and all that, put signs in our yard.
Yeah.
But never, ever thought I'd be the candidate. And when they asked me to run, I just said I would ask my husband and God, but I knew both would say no, so I thought I was safe.
Like, it's fine. This will be a great way out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not exactly what happened. So here I am. But once I realized that it really was a call, and once my husband was completely on board, and once I was completely on board, I really went all in. And so I've been serving now for 2 years, finishing my first term, and then I will be running for re-election in this fall, November. So it's been crazy, but it really is. I feel very called to this. I feel like this was, when I look back at my whole life, I realized God was doing all these things that happened in my life, was preparing me for this time and this moment. So it's been really amazing.
Well, there's so much about like the role in that. I love the public servant idea because it truly is a space of, it's an unpaid position, right?
And well, you get paid, but it's very little. The salary in Virginia is $17,000 a year.
Okay, it's an unpaid position, and
exactly.
And you're still working at K-Love. Well, I guess K-Love Radio is the flagship brand of, but that's wild to me. I don't understand. I mean, people think I'm quote unquote, I hate this word, but busy. And how do you manage all of the things in the process of still maintaining a home front, a marriage of 40 years, and being a mama? And are you a grandma yet? You said they have kids?
Grandmother of 3.
Grandma too. How are you managing all of it? Because I think time constraints is often a limiting belief that we can't possibly add something to our plate.
Right. Well, you know what they say? They go, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And it is true. Well, first of all, it's interesting that in Virginia, we are a part-time legislature. At least we're considered a part-time legislator. Sometime we have to question that because you do seem like you're working 24/7.
Yeah.
But, it's so funny. You have more than one child. After you have that first child, you just think, how in the world can I love another human being? There's no way I can love anyone more. Then you have a second child and you're like, wow, it's that phenomenon of the multiplication, and a multiplier. And I really feel like this work has been a multiplier. I feel like somehow, and especially because I do feel so called, I feel like God has given me this extra, energy and ability to get things done that I need to get done. And I mean, I don't feel like I ever get everything done.
Yeah,
And I'm
right.
always working on things and doing my best to make things happen. But it really has been amazing that I feel like the more I have on my plate, the more, organized I am, and the
Productive.
more
Yeah.
I don't know how, I can't explain how that works, but it
Yeah.
really does seem to happen.
It's interesting. I had never thought about it from that perspective, but you're so right. And I love if you want something done, give it to a busy person, because they will somehow put it in their planner or their schedule, or they'll make the time if it's important. And I think when people approach us at any point, and something I always encourage people is like, you never know what my response is going to be unless you ask.
Right.
And so if it's important enough, and it's not that you're not important, but if the thing or the time or the item, or if it aligns at that point and I'm able to put on my schedule, I'm 100% going to. I met a girlfriend for sunrise walk on the beach the other day because I wanted to see her so bad, but my schedule was only available in the wee hours of the morning. And she's like, I love you so much for doing this. And we ended up talking for like 3 hours because it was a safe haven time that I don't generally give away. Right. And so I think it's a great perspective for people to know that it is possible. Yes. I also want to note too the fact that like you're in this season of life where you could easily just tap out and be like, I'm ready to just kind of coast now. Your husband's career has been amazing. Your career's been wonderful. And I love that you're like, no, we're going to jump all in and give it everything I've got. And it's showing on all of the different things that you've been able to bring to life. You guys, I want you to take note of some of the incredible legislation that she's been able to help pass, which is through the military, through foster care, fighting human trafficking, and anti-Semitism. What of those things have become kind of the firepower to all of it? Or is there any prioritization of passion for you, or they all matter in different ways?
That's a good question. I think for me, when I first was elected, I kind of, once I realized that this really was a calling, I'm very moved by, I was very motivated and moved years ago from Isaiah 58. And that's the passage that talks about, what sacrifices are you bringing me? You're bringing me, goats and bulls and, those kind of sacrifice, and fasting. But that's not what I want. What I want you to do is take care of the oppressed, break the chains of those that are in bondage, and help the poor and the widow. And so I was really moved by that, and just in my whole life, and even with my work with Caleb. And so when I realized that I was really being called to do this, I told God, I said, if I win, my first legislation is going to be for foster care, because I do feel like the foster youth is the orphans of today.
Yeah.
And so that was really a big passion for me. And then, unfortunately, foster care, a lot of the kids aging out make them vulnerable for human trafficking. So to me, that was really related. And also talk about being in chains, the human trafficker victims, hopefully helping them become survivors is part of breaking those chains. So those were really motivating to me for my own personal, motivation. And then the military, how can I not love the military? I'm the daughter of an Army chaplain. I'm married to a former Navy man. My son-in-law is currently serving in the Navy. My brother-in-law is a retired Army general. So I'm surrounded by military. And then the community, as you know, that we live is all military. We're the East Coast Navy SEALs are headquartered here. And so it's hard not to support that. And then anti-Semitism, of course, my faith is also extends to that. Really hate against anyone. It's like intolerable. We shouldn't not tolerate. So it's really been amazing. I do have a lot of these, my own personal feelings, and then it's been nice that I've been able to do legislation that are in those areas. But the cool thing is that these are really bipartisan issues, and so I've been able to get these bills passed with bipartisan support. And right now we have divided legislature. Where Republicans are in the majority in the House, Democrats are a majority in the Senate. So without working together, you're not going to get things done. So I have been really proud of my Democrat colleagues who have supported my legislation, and we've been able to get things done. But it just makes sense because it's really for the good of humanity and our community.